Time for KFM Hotseat. Catch the fire tonight on KFM's Hotseat every weekday 7 to 8 p.m. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hotseat, the hottest debate on all relevant topics, live on KFM's Hotseat tonight. KFM's Hotseat every weekday 7 to 8 p.m. KFM's Hotseat only on 933 KFM.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hot Seat this Friday, the 12th day of April 2024. And with me in the studio, hey guys, what's wrong with you? We are already on air. Is a panel of the most rowdy characters in Uganda. From the human race Mujahideen, I have Jimmy Odoki. And of course from rock journalism, we have Derek Wandera. From the, what Mujahideen is the feminist Taliban, we have Joel Mukisa, and of course from the looting parliament of Uganda, the looting speaker of parliament, her own spokesperson, Joseph Sabiti. You have the most difficult job in Uganda right now, by the way.
Second to yours. The most difficult one is speaking for PLU.
Why? PLU is the coolest kid in the
No. I'm a serving military officer. Doing the things it does, it takes Andrew Mwenda to speak for them.
You should consult the Attorney General. The Attorney General to tell you whether he's breaking any law. You guys don't want to listen to the Attorney General. You don't want to listen to anybody.
What would the Attorney General say?
Now he has switched from a host to his PLU duties.
Anyhow, Sabiti, I saw your speaker refusing Sechkubo to even raise this issue that they must discuss the parliamentary exhibition, and then she shuts him up. First of all, this lady really, she interests me so much. She has bullied and intimidated members of parliament. Even when Sechkubo, who is around, was speaking, he was trembling in front of her.
But you see, Andrew, you're an advocate for order and right things. One, the rules of parliament do not even allow debate on issues on social media and stuff like that. If a member wanted to raise that matter, you know that you must actually bring forth a substantive motion to that effect, especially if you want to discuss the conduct of the presiding officer. It is in the rules passed by the Sechkubo. Sechkubo knows it. So I think there are times when it is legislation, but many times MPs are consumed by the need to be in Wandera's headlines the next day, to be seen to do something. We are going into an election.
This is the time.
And this is the time. We're going into an election period. And then if you have been a critic like Sechkubo, who has been quiet for the last 2 years, then if it means jumping on the table, you must do it. That's how our politics is. Because Sechkubo is a senior legislator. He knows.
But I also find it, I see a conflict of interest that she's the speaker, she's accused of looting. How can she preside over a debate in her own case?
There's a deputy speaker. There's a deputy speaker.
He hasn't been accused of anything.
Even the deputy is the same story. So
I don't know how we're going to handle this.
Well, no, I'm saying, unless Sechkubo is going to bring angels to come and preside over the house. But those are the two we have.
You know what that means? That you cannot have a monkey
to preside
over a case involving the fate of the forest.
That only exists
or a hyena.
That only exists in all.
As a judge in a case to decide the fate of the meat market.
No, that only exists in all the Toro tales, because in our country, I mean, you work with what you have. Those are the rules. And when they're making those rules, by the way, everybody sits and says, we adopt these rules and we'll play by them. There are things of conflict of interest, discussing it's even expressly stated in the rules how you discuss the conduct of the presiding officer. That just like with the judiciary, that you must go to the judge's chambers and make your case to him, and he decides whether he has a conflict of interest or not. For me, the point is not stopping the Honorable Sechkubo from debating that, but I think that he's seen enough to understand what procedures should be followed, and he should follow it. Yes.
Let me come to you, Joel. Does it surprise you that there's been all these exhibitions, and the Parliament of Uganda, which has a huge population of independents, a significant number of opposition MPs, I think they are close to 100?
Yeah, 120.
120. Then you have independents. Not a single member of Parliament has raised a motion of censure or impeachment of the speaker. Nothing. How can it be that there's such an uproar in the country against the speaker and not one single member of parliament, whether from the NRM, from the Rwanda opposition, or from independents, trying to impeach her?
Is there uproar against the speaker in the country, or there's uproar against the speaker
on social media?
On social media.
A small echo chamber.
Yes. And Dave Chappelle has told us social media, Twitter is not a real place. So perhaps in the real place, when push comes to shove, the things don't matter. But most importantly, for me, what I think about the speaker and the opposition, I think broadly that these people cannot speak out because Parliament itself, the institution of Parliament, is the bribe. So
what does that mean?
Like when you join Parliament, when you join this elite politics, when you get this position as a member of Parliament, you stop, in many cases, actually in our politics here, many people have stopped having this broad national vision. If they had it, it was merely a front it was a Trojan horse for other shenanigans. In this case, it is rare that I see someone on TV speaking about an issue and I believe it. I usually think that it is a Trojan horse for something great.
Could you use a simpler word for the public to understand? Can you speak in English? Most people do not know ancient Greek.
I think
it's a front for something.
It's a front for something. So in this case, you find that the opposition itself, people are trying to look for money for the next election. You're being threatened in noob and things like that. And who can give you this money? Only the speaker through officialized corruption called per diems when you travel and things of that sort. So why would you bluntly come against her? So when you see people like Sech Kubo insisting, you wonder the source of his strength.
And Derek wondered, there was even no sympathy for him in the rest of Parliament. Sometimes if a speaker tries to shut down a member of Parliament presenting something they consider popular, I'm telling you there will be jeers and resistance. But he himself was trembling, the whole Parliament was silent, and then she just shut him up, and that was it.
Let me dramatize it more. She called another MP, Jonah, come here. Someone called Jonathan Odur.
No, I think it's always in character of humans, style of leadership. You can look at the past parliaments and the leaders and the speakers who have been there. You look at the Honorable Kadaga. You look at
Ayume
Sekandi, Wapakabulo, and you look at their demeanor when they are chairing or when they are presiding over parliamentary proceedings, and it's always a style of leadership. And I'm not angered or even surprised by the way the Honorable Among is handling Parliament. You want to even give her the nod of trying to bridge that whole gap of bringing the Parliament together, because you almost are seeing opposition and the NRM dancing in the same song and dancing alike. Whether she's feared or not is a matter of debate, really. And I saw.
You think she's not feared?
I think she is, but then it's her style of leadership, and everyone has theirs, and I can give it to them. One thing, Andrew, that I wanted to speak to is the censorship that you were talking about. Uganda presents a very big predicament when it comes to such situations, that you have only two presiding officers in Parliament. When they are not there, probably they are both sick. It means Parliament has to go to recess.
Is that correct, Joseph?
Yeah, the House can only be presided over by the two.
Yes. In Kenya, for instance, they have two, the speaker and the deputy.
The speaker's panel.
Yes, but they have 6 more. And out of the 6, 3 of them are from opposition. So there's a chance that at one given point, when you don't have these 2 substantive speakers, you have the other 6 who allot themselves a day after the other to chair Parliament. Now, when there are issues like that, matters of implicating the speakers, the 2 speakers, then they can step down and then they can be investigated, or there is another person who's going to sit. But in Uganda, it gives it a very big predicament. And I think constitutional framers should have thought about something like that when it was coming up.
Okay, let's come to the humanist mujahideen. What is your own view of a Speaker of Parliament who seems to run roughshod over every aspect of decorum and of whatever you can say, and she seems immune to any form of accountability and reprimand? Even the president don't have villagers.
I think exactly, because she has the support of the president. She knows her powers is not really just the parliament, and everything in this country revolves around President Museveni. The members of parliament, they know you have to first read what the president thinks, or you have to find out. So they know that at this time is not even So
Museveni actually, this is an interesting thing. Many members of parliament stand on the floor of parliament and actually challenge Museveni all the time. They have forced investigations on State House. Museveni has appeared for a parliamentary commission of inquiry into some wrong things, but
which one?
There was a commission of inquiry on State House. I remember in the
actually I think it went to State House.
It went to State House.
It is practice in Parliament that when a committee is investigating a matter and they think that the president has valuable information, they go to State House and listen to him. I think it happened during the Temangalo saga with the late John Odit.
Like that, yeah.
It happened during the OPM saga when certain people were mentioned. But the president is immune. You can't even prosecute him, you can't investigate him. He doesn't appear as
a witness.
As a formality.
He doesn't appear as a witness. Know the president he comes to give information. But members of
parliament in Uganda challenge Museveni all the time.
It's just, Somebody is always talking about how many clothes he buys himself a year.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's just drama.
Gallons of sauce.
But let me ask you this. Members of the opposition in Uganda are not under the control of Museveni. In fact, they get elected by being hostile to Museveni.
Okay,
maybe
now we are getting to know.
I have argued that
what we have discovered is that actually what Anita Mong has achieved is to turn, because she came I think from the opposition, so she knows them very well, is to ensure that even members of the opposition have been recruited by her to be silent, and therefore Museveni
not by her. She's doing Museveni's work. So the president.
I have argued before that there's no politician, businessman worth their name in this town who has not interacted with General Museveni or his agents. That's a fallacy. The approach is different. Others underground, others covert, others overt, including the so-called big boys in civil society. You will not run a big civil society organization in this town. You will interact with either the General Museveni himself.
So maybe the state.
I mean General Museveni or his agents. General Museveni or his agents.
I said Museveni is the state.
I have said General Museveni or his agents. So
I thought I am the state. Right now, the state is hosting a radio show.
So when you see people speaking, I agree with Joel that when you see people speaking a lot of English on TV, you look beyond what they're not saying. You'll be amazed because the
conversations after the
after the grandstanding on TV and on radios. One of the most interesting scenarios, Andrew, and it never made it to the mainstream discussion, was before DGF closed. There was that investigation into the DGF and how these big boys in the NGO world actually were parceling money. It was initiated, I think, by Nicholas Opio. When that investigation was done, before they could discuss that, they had started writing. The people, hired mercenaries, were already nailing Nicholas for so many reasons. If that report had been made public, some of our democracy mujahideen, the crusaders of
accountability,
yes, would be in the village smearing hearts with cow dung.
We have taken that break. I'll be right back.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday 7 to 8 p.m.
933
KFM's Hot Seat. Hot Seat. Hear the real story behind the story. Coming right at you. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back. This edition of the Hot Seat this Friday, the 12th day of April 2024, and with me in the series, Joseph Sabit from Parliament, Joel Mkisa from Chapter 1. They reopened it. I think it had been closed, but we have Del Kwandera from Daily Monitor and from the Humanist Community.
Is it Chapter 1, Chapter 4?
Chapter 4, whatever chapter it is. Chapter 1, verse 1. But guys, finishing off this issue of Parliament, You see, I've been wondering, just I want to come to you, Joel. You are raising a fundamental issue. You see, I follow a lot of debate, and I feel like what we debate in traditional and social media within elite circles is really a down-to-earth debate. Because the question for me is, do the people, the way the public of Uganda make a distinction between the public finances of the speaker, of the state of Uganda, and the private finances of the speaker? If the speaker uses parliamentary funds to dispense generosity in her constituency in Bukedia, do the people in Bukedia think that she has abused the public funds when she builds a private hospital at public expense? Because I believe that if you are talking of, if you are developing an idea of accountability and corruption and things like that, there must be in the social consciousness of a population, like in the UK. If the British Prime Minister used the public funds to go and build a private hospital in any community, however useful it may be, there will be a general consensus of public opinion in the wider British society, let me say 85 to 90%, or even 95%, who think he has acted wrongly. The Ugandan feel the speaker has acted wrongly. And so I wonder whether these debates on social media are an echo chamber of a few elites with borrowed ethics and values,
which they can't maintain themselves.
Yes. And they are debating them, and they are not really appreciated by the wider society. Ms. Samkisa.
One has to be aspirational, but I get what you're saying. These primordial interests that
can you please speak in English? We don't know.
But you've just described. Sorry, these interests of. I mean, it is assumed, the notion at work there, it is assumed that the state has to work in a certain way. And this way is, state must be pasted from England, from America to Uganda, and it must work that way. So the critique of the Anita Monks is that the Anita Monks are saying, we have our state in Uganda and it should work as a historical evolution of the people of Uganda who still demand not services from these leaders, the Anita Monks of this world, but they demand material goods of survival.
I was reading a study, Derek Wandera, from Nigeria, where an international organization went and built a water supply place in a community, in a rural community in Nigeria. So, and they put two people in charge of this water supply. Two ladies. One of the ladies was a very strict Muzungu-like person who insisted whoever comes to collect water, there were certain user fees they were supposed to pay, everybody must pay. Then, and the community had been sensitized to say that we as an international organization have built this water facility. For it to be sustainable, you need to pay some user fees for maintenance, repairs, and servicing, and all this. So one lady was very strict on ensuring that the future of this water system depends on every person using it paying their user fees. It was a small amount of money. Then there was another one who was very lax with the rules and felt if a person had a problem at their home or something like that, there should be those considerations. So she was willing to waive rules many times in order to accommodate people purely on personal and affective criteria. It turns out, actually, the community liked this other person who was lenient against the other lady. And if they were subjected to a vote, the lady whose harshness would have been good for the continuity and sustainability of the project would have been voted out. And the lady who was much more lenient, but her lenience and goodness would have led to the collapse of the project, would have held power. And then it makes you wonder, if you come to a country like this, how people think. People here think in terms of personal terms. How much you affect me at a personal level. The idea of impersonal application of rules, using arm's length institutions, anonymously to, or impersonally to anonymous individuals is maybe alien to our culture and our beliefs and whatever. And you would only need maybe a dictatorship, I don't know. Even the dictatorships in Africa have failed. They have also remained. People here understand the service when it's personal. So when an MP goes to an area and personally contributes, people appreciate it. That saying that the government is delivering something, and that delivery is not attached to a human being whom they can see, feel, touch.
I think you hit it. You hit the nail on the head. You can even use the example of the president in his speeches against corruption. He says he's very happy that the people who are stealing public money are investing it here in Uganda. And
has he ever said that?
Yeah, he has said that several times. He says it's better that those people are not taking the money outside.
So
you remember during...
I want to quote the president correctly.
Okay. He says
the president has made, I think what they consider, not the presidential
said
argument.
We are lucky that the thieves are investing it here.
That makes him happy.
Luck and happy are two different things.
Okay. Maybe those words can be used interchangeably. But I want to widen the debate to even like monetization of politics in Uganda. Where is it coming from? Many times we have the elite who sit in boardrooms have always said MPs know their role, know their custodial roles and stuff like that. But until you become an MP and you face my brother here is going to be MP in the next parliament. He will see, right now he speaks a lot of English and tells us now, an MP you're supposed to legislate, and that is your work.
Right now or previously?
Speak to the microphone, please. Yes, go on.
So, but the reality hits you when you get to the ground and you are asked to, for instance, repair a road, which utterly is not your role, but you will certainly do it if you have the mandate, if you have the money. You'll have to do it for the good of the people. And then you come back here and then you say, we are broke, we have been doing this, and then the people are going to ask you, is that your job? I have had this talk within the opposition ranks that, hey, you people have gone, built roads. Is that your job? That's not your job. You must know your job as a leader, as an MP, is to legislate. The reality on ground hits differently. And like you said, there has to be a face attached to a project. And that's when it's going to be appreciated. Let me tell you, if there's a project that has been built or a borehole built in one village, and it's a communal project, you don't know how fast it will break down. It might even break down in one day because it doesn't have a face to it. It doesn't have like that strict supervision and stuff. But if the project is attached to one Joseph Sabiti, they will say this project was brought to us by Joseph Sabiti. We need to guard it jealously.
Derek, I don't know what and Andrew, I don't know what communities you come from. In my community, in the broader Luo community, it's not just limited to political leadership. If by any chance I am higher than the rest in society, there are natural responsibilities that come with it. When when someone dies, my brother Dokia is expected to contribute a little bit much more than the villagers. It is who we are. It is Africanity. It is ABSA. It is who we are. The last time I went to my phone, my brother General Dikolum building some sort of a bridge to cross over and in
the Congo.
No, at home in Zombo. So he was there fidgeting. He tried using his money, using his resources, is building a bridge that crosses over to the village where he stays and stuff. And so he was asking the question, but I thought these are the things local government should be working on. They said, no, Afande, that's why you are there. That's where you are. For them, when they see the pips of a major general, they don't mind the constitutional roles and what those are yours. So in our greater, for example, if I go home now, it is very hard for me to stay for 7 days. I will run because you must. People will come and pay homage. They will come without appointments. They will greet you. And in our culture, when someone comes to greet you,
say people should come with appointments.
That's the point.
That the village has to call and make an appointment. Who said that?
No, I'm just saying our societies are programmed in a way that when I go home, I will sit whoever comes, regardless of whether I am busy or not busy. I must attend to them. You must feed them. They must, when they're going back, you must give them transport or soap, and they go.
And then they came on their own.
Yes, now it gets worse. If you get your face on the ballot, you are dead.
Yes.
The expectations yes.
And for me, this is the issue. Bambi died. A friend of mine, Professor Joel Bakan, I think it was from Iowa University. He wrote an academic paper actually on the cost of parliamentary elections in the early 2000s. At that time, he estimated something like the average cost was $50,000. I'm sure right now it must be about $150,000. That is the cost of electing a member of parliament. And one time, actually, Daily Monitor did a story whereby, you remember, 50% of members of parliament were not receiving their salaries. They were being deducted. You're the one who did it?
Yes.
There's an MP who was earning 12,000.
Yes.
Yeah, because they were deducting the money because they have taken loans and things like that.
So members of parliament who are paid, I think, anything between 30 to 40 million shillings a month are actually heavily indebted. Part A, because campaigns require a lot of money. Also, but once you have been elected, your constituents, there are funerals, there are weddings, there are church fundraisings, there are
campaign coordinators, fees for coordinators.
Also, by the way, medical bills to pay, fees for people in the constituency to pay, all these kinds of pressures are put on the personal income of the member of parliament. How does this member of parliament ever sustain your position of leadership in the community? You have to incur these huge personal expenses. How therefore do you recoup this unless you find some creative ways to make money out of your job as member of parliament? So in which case I'm saying that the democratic process that we have itself actually encourages corruption. In fact, without corruption, that democratic system can't work.
So
the political system would become anti-people, because in our people's culture and eyes, a pro-people leader is one who is able to dispense cash to constituents.
Joseph Sabiti here speaks a lot of English. He's a very astute man and stuff. If he goes to Zomba without money, you're going to come back and sit with us.
So,
to Jimmy,
you have talked about all this, the commercialization of politics. Who is responsible for that? Because in the past we are told political leaders, the local people contributed and they helped them in their campaigns without expecting like individual benefits. How did it change?
Who said that? I was telling the truth.
I have talked to he was telling the truth. He told me how much he spent. It wasn't those days, I think so.
Maybe because there was only one election. So imagine we had an election in 1962. The next election was in 1980. That is after 18 years, you have not had an election. Here is every 5 years you have had an election. Because if you look at elections in 1986, actually, the first extension of the NRC, in 1989, there was very little money used.
That is the election I'm talking about.
Yes, people didn't use money, yes. But as political competition went on increasing, the role of money also went growing.
As democratization deepens.
Oh, for that matter, as political contestations deepened, by the Constituent Assembly, money came in. Then 1996 elections, money became an important factor. By 2001, the commercialization of...
When we look around in the region, Kenya, they spend so much in elections, but like Rwanda, which you're very familiar with, are there elections?
So let us take another break. When we come back, we're going to discuss how Rwanda is really unique in that sense.
Yeah.
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat.
933 KFM.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight. KFM's Hot Seat covers all the relevant topics every weekday, 7 to 8 p.m.
Welcome back to this edition of the Hot Seat featuring a panel of the most experienced journalists and panelists discussing major events a week. I have Joseph Sabiti, I have Derek Wandera, I have Joel Mukisa, and I have Jimmy Udoki. Guys, we were saying the more democracy in Uganda has deepened, the more it has been commercialized. But this commercialization of politics, if you want to see its actual manifestation in the United States, democracy is really governance by money, ruled by those who have money. But you were raising the issue.
To make that point, just see the dilemma that Biden is in today. His voters, majority of them, are pro-Palestine, but his funders are Jewish.
Pro-Israel.
Pro-Israel. So now that is the dilemma. You need the cash, but you also need the people who actually vote.
But in this island of our deepened in courts democracy, there are examples where actually individual charisma has beaten money. If you look at the last elections, for example, in Soroti, Jonathan Ebwalu, who didn't even have 3 million to his name, emerged MP, he beating Calvin Ichodo. And if you know Calvin's financial muscles, you would think.
No, I can give you an example. The woman
Yes.
MP for Wakiso is actually my daughter-in-law. And somehow I'm related to her somehow.
Betty Nalima.
Yes. So she did not have any money. She ran out of money. She had, I think, 3-4 million, which Nupu gave her. And finally, she ran out of money. She didn't go to campaign. She stayed home. And on election day, she was herself shocked that she won by a landslide. You know, Wakiso is the largest district in Uganda in terms of population. It has 4 municipalities. So there are a lot of MPs in the constituency. But her alone, she never campaigned. She didn't have money to So you can say there were special circumstances. In the constituency, people were against NRM, and once she was nominated as a NUP candidate, her victory was guaranteed. But guys, I want us to come to
why Rwanda is unique.
Well, first of all, there was Kwibuka in Rwanda, and you know me, I am a Pan-Africanist. So as a Pan-Africanist,
you said you were a honorary citizen
of Africa.
Yes. Honorary citizen of Rwanda. You said this is San Francisco before President Kagame.
Let me tell you my story. My story with the old man here in Rwanda. So as a poor youth journalist, I am sent to do some stories in Rwanda. So I think it was that there was a conference of, they were preparing for the genocide anniversary and stuff like that. So they had arranged very well, and there were 2 doors. One door was for the president and his general, and a few people to arrive through, and then the rest of us were supposed to come through. So Andrew just holds my hand and says, "Young man, come and we go." And we walk there through where the president is supposed to pass. And so in a few minutes, I see him addressing the crowd of generals of the RPF. And he says, "I am Andrew Mwenda, the Colonel General of the RPF." So
of the RDF.
Of the RDF.
And Deputy Secretary General of the
RPF.
Yes.
And you must be Andrew Mwenda to lay claim to those titles and walk away. So I agree. Let's discuss Rwanda.
When you are the old man of the clan, you see, first of all, there was this commemoration of the 30 years of genocide. But I also felt, if you attend the event, it was a much more of a celebration of the ability of Rwanda to recover, to really make an astounding comeback, because you guys were not yet, none of you here was born in 1994. Who was born here? When were you born?
At least 94 found me here.
Jimmy, you were also born. So the others, John Mukisa was born in 2008. But here is the thing. If you were an adult, me, I was a student at university in 1994. I'm telling you, every diplomat, every statesman, every scholar worth his heft, every expert, every historian, every analyst that appeared on TV or wrote an article, whether it was Mamudani or Mazrui, whichever scholar, there was one consensus, that Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda cannot live together peacefully. That the solution to that country should be to divide.
Mahmoud? When Victims Become Killers is written in 1995?
No. It is written in the 2000s. In 1994.
No, he visits Rwanda and writes an article, sort of.
Yes. But the idea that these communities could live together peacefully could not be conceived, because remember that all genocides in history are always organized by the state and executed by a specialized arm of the state. It could be an army, like in Germany it was the SS, the Einsatzgruppen, something like that, which was the intelligence arm of the state. Even in the United States, you had the state-organized militias. But in Rwanda, although the genocide was organized by the state, and the state had also organized the militia to implement it, but the largest part of the genocide was something that was up close and personal. It was a father killing his children, a husband killing wife, a neighbor killing a neighbor, a friend killing a friend, students killing their teachers, a servant killing his boss. It was up close and personal. This was an interpersonal genocide. Though organized by the state, its implementation, so that when the RPF took over, the wounds of hatred and division had been so deepened. You could wonder, how then will they live together? You cannot count the number of cases where husbands killed their wives and children, fathers killed children. Because
actually, the case laid in Mahmoud's study of when victims become killers, he says that the rite of passage for Hutus who had married Tutsis is first kill your own, so that there is no more process.
Exactly. So when I was seated in that auditorium, this week on Sunday, when we were commemorating, I could not believe that. How do you imagine that this country, victim and the perpetrator, live in the same village? They work together, they eat together, they pray together, they travel together, and there isn't intercommunal violence anymore. How did these people achieve it? Then
It's
from there,
very difficult to separate them. Yeah.
From there, we can go to discuss how Rwanda stands unique, whether it's in systems of governance, in electoral politics, and every single thing is fairly different.
I think for me, and I need to just put out something about the genocide. What was unique about it in terms of your reference? It says that what makes Rwanda unique, which you said, is that...
Who is this?
Mamdani. That what makes Rwanda unique is that you see the Holocaust in Germany. It was such an isolated thing that even if I was a German person and reported you to this security organization, the security organization would take you, and even the technology of massacring you was even so distant. Gas chambers, they just kill you at once and things like that. I said in Rwanda it is so unique because these people had not killed before, but they would use a panga and take so much time killing you. You get it?
Yes.
Yes. So he says this was so unique because many of these people had not killed before. How would it even be thinkable? How would the logic of the genocide be thinkable within it? That even if it was commanded by the state, we need to understand why the state found fertile ground in the society. Because in some places the state can do it, they can instruct such massacre, and the society doesn't. The society finds it appalling. Because even when they were killing, for example, in Bunyoro and Bugangaizi over those lost counties, some Bunyoro were hiding Baganda. But in Rwanda, it was completely unthinkable. And that's what he was saying that made this Rwandan genocide very unique.
And making it unique, therefore, Joseph, it makes the conciliation almost an impossibility. How, therefore, do you get Joseph, who killed Joel's mother in his presence, for them to live in the same village? Because neighbor was killing neighbor.
And Andrew, I think that one thing we must do is to give credit to President Paul Kagame and his leading elite. People don't want to hear this, but there are a lot of lessons to take from Rwanda. Critics will tell you how it's a dictatorship, there's no democracy, parties are not vibrant. But when you're coming from a background of genocide, where people killed each other, and Andrew, you know that studies show that those feelings are still there, are still part of the community. It's work in progress. There are people who still, the pain, the trauma of losing loved ones, it's deep inside. To be able to hold a country like that together needs a bit of, something extraordinary. And I visited, the last time I was in Rwanda, we visited one of those villages, Mondo villages, where they actually put these people to live together, and then to see how they can cope up and deal with that sentiment. So for me, I am one of those who sit down and actually think that the approach taken by President Paul Kagame in trying to revive that country and set it forward is the best approach. And shame on the rest of us. If you go to Kigali, you will know what order is. You will know that you can count borders and know them. You will know that you can ride safely, that you must put on helmets, you must follow the traffic route. The city is organized. People will argue that it's a small city and everything. Well, my small village we fail to organize things like that. So there are lessons to pick from Rwanda. The question that I ask myself is whether that stability, that impressive record will stand in the absence of Paul Kagame.
Jim Odoki.
Yeah, it's admirable how he's done it. When you read, you follow what happened from 94 to the current, to the state it's now. They have made amazing progress. But the reconciliation, I think Gachacha has to be studied more, because I think most of our communities, we have local ways of dealing. When we have conflicts, you have reconciliation, how we go about with it. So like in Uganda, there's been this talk of a national dialogue. We need reconciliation. Societies, we have communities hurting. So there are things to borrow. How did they, come to live in harmony together? And I was reading Charles Onyango reporting that even the young people are not so much bothered about it. Like they've sort of moved on. It's not a big thing on their mind, because when you see the development, the things they have, if you don't read deeply, you may not understand. But the memorial, that commemoration is a big thing. So communities that have gone through conflicts should know how to, to do such things, to keep. It's a reminder that if you mess up, you can have this thing again. And I think the biggest thing is who will take it past Paul Kagame. The same thing is leadership. You have a good leader, you have a good Museveni holding the country together. Who will take it past?
Derek Wandera.
All comes to leadership.
Last year I was in Rwanda.
Derek tried in Rwanda.
What are you asking?
Did Noop have an event?
And I was there several times, but one of the things I realized, and one of the conversations I had was about genocide. And Andrew, the way you say that the sentiments, the hatred had gone as interpersonal as mother, son, husband, children, and things like that. I think one of the things President Kagame has done is to extend reconciliation to that level. And it has so much helped that you find someone in Rwanda and they can give you their story, but also give you how they have resolved that at a personal level. I think most communities that go through conflict sometimes take a general view of things and way of bringing reconciliation, and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy. But even when you listen to President Paul Kagame's speeches, in most times he's speaking to someone's heart. He speaks to people's hearts. True. He speaks to an individual. Even in the crowd of thousands and thousands, the message is targeting and piercing someone's heart individually. And I feel that is the best way that this has resolved. I find a lot of nationalism in Rwanda. That you'll find a boy who is not even like anything, but he will tell you how much he loves his country. Not just as a Rwandan, but he loves the country with a passion. I have a friend there, and she can tell you so many stories, and she tells you, just if I met President Paul Kagame today, I will not shower for 3 days.
We have and
that's how
KFM's Hot Seat. It's hot, it's live, provocative, and digs deep into the issues. It's KFM's Hot Seat.
933 KFM.
KFM's Hot Seat. Hot Seat. Hear the real story behind the story. Coming right at you. Only on 933 KFM.
Welcome back to this edition of the Hot Seat featuring Jimmy Odoki. We have Derek Wandera. Joel Mukisa, get off the phone. Guys, I just need us to focus so that we have at this. And then I have Joseph Sabit. Joseph Sabit asked an important question. I want to begin with you.
Can I just complete? Because Joseph Sabiti.
You want to tell us about the girl, the Rwandan girl?
Joseph, you know where to find me. So I wanted to try to attempt answering Joseph's question of what happens to Rwanda after President.
And that's the question I was going to ask.
Yeah, sure. I feel Rwanda is safe.
Why?
My assessment of the way President Paul Kagame has handled the country is that in even his emotional and very passionate deliveries of addresses and stuff, and his passionate way of attacking very many issues in the country, he has helped so many people understand a way of living, the way they need or they should live in the country. And I know there are very many Paul Kagames in Rwanda, with him or without him.
How do you know?
I have interacted with so many people who...
And they were all Kagames.
Then they mean there's no Kagame. If everyone is Kagame.
No, not... I mean, there are people. There are people who really like.
You see, Derek, you need to,
inspired by.
You need to. I'm sure you've had conversations with citizens of that great country. You need to see how much they revere their leader when they speak about President Kagame. Listen to the passion, the respect, the admiration that they speak to you about him. Part of what is happening in Rwanda is because of the citizens have belief in the person. They have absolute faith in the person. With President Kagame, you either admire him, you like him. The least is you fear him. Okay? Yeah, the other option you have. The other option you have is to fear him.
So in his absence?
So in his absence then, for example, in Uganda, if you asked me in the absence of President Museveni, who is in charge, who is number 2, I don't have to think twice before answering. If you asked me who is number 2 in Rwanda, I honestly don't know. Who is number 3, I do not know. I know that Rwanda has a president and a first lady. And for me, that worries me. The possibility of a Kagame-less Rwanda, is it there?
I think President Kagame was asking, so you people should decide, you should give who should take over. It's not me to dictate. There's something like that, a conversation he was having. So he says he's also now, he would like to pass over the baton to another person, but the people keep insisting that, hey, we still need you around. So how long will that be?
Joel.
I'm about to share someone's views. I don't know whether they'll be comfortable. I was having a conversation with Dr. Golaba Mtebi, who is not a fan, a fanatic, a zealot of Rwanda. And
he's a Rwandan citizen.
Yeah. The zealot word is accurate.
And what we're discussing would be the future of Rwanda without President Kagame. Does he need more time as president of Rwanda? Does he need... Because Dr. Mutebi's argument was that maybe Rwanda needs more time with President Kagame until this uniqueness of Rwanda sinks into the population. That maybe these years, since whenever I became president to today, are not enough until this idea of a Rwanda where things can be done, where government is efficient and things can sink into these people. But I don't entirely think that Rwanda would be out of options after him. I think he has a very good civil service. Unlike Uganda, you see, in Rwanda, the civil service there, the best of the people in Rwanda join the civil service. In Uganda, really, you don't want to be humiliated to join civil service. If you do, you want to get some bribes and get rich quickly, because you don't want people to be discussing that government bought your bed, those things that they're doing to the John Mongers of this world. So I really think that Rwanda is not out of options, and the First Lady is really a good place to start.
But for me, I was thinking, I don't know. I think that it is so easy to destroy something that takes so many years and effort.
Exactly, yes.
If you ask me about my worry about Rwanda, it's exactly that. First, I think that Kagame has been unique, and I don't think it is easy to manufacture persons of his qualities. And even if those people existed, they will not enjoy the historical legitimacy that has been cultivated over so many years and actions.
And the personal
so even if you got a duplicate of Kagame and put him there, he does not come with that accumulated legitimacy,
historical legitimacy.
I agree.
Which justifies and legitimizes a lot of his actions. So people can challenge him. That is point number one. The second thing is that whoever will come after Kagame, if he were to be an individual, they would also suffer from insecurities of not fitting in his shoes. You get it? And therefore, the likelihood that they will act with paranoia and things like that and maybe rock the boat is very high. Or they may seek, recognizing their weakness, to make compromises of the type that here we have made with Anita Among, which also rocks the very foundation of an honest and efficient government that has been built. So I don't think that Rwanda is in the woods. And I have two things I think about. One, that if you have to make an error in a country as volatile as Rwanda, or an error, you must make an error on the side of caution, in which case you say, let Kagame stay there for as long as is possible. In other words, you keep postponing the problem. The other solution could be, yes, because the more you delay his exit, you hope that the more new situations may arise that make his exit smooth. But of course, the other one could be that he has to find a way to leave power
and watch his successor succeed.
And retain influence. But you see, even that can be explosive. You know, when a new president comes in, they want actually to be president.
Yeah.
They want to have they don't want to have somebody supervising them.
They don't want to have something over their shoulder.
And given his strength and legitimacy and all this,
and character,
and the guy comes there and he feels Kagame is still watching me, he may become paranoid, and then there is a fight between the two, and you cannot afford two bulls in one whatever. So the other
option is to start a PLU. Rwanda branch.
So for me, therefore, I feel that even every day when I think about it, I don't know. It is not easy. Of course, the exit of Kagame, we need to look at it in the sense that when he leaves, it is not the individual who succeeds him, but maybe the college of his peers who succeed. So that power moves from one
college
person
must have a leader. The college must have a leader. At a
the
time.
First among equals, yes.
Yes.
The
Primus inter pares.
Yes.
Yes. So in Mao dies and there is a Deng Xiaoping,
Absolutely.
but he's a leader of a college of peers. The other one, of course, is if you ask me, my choice would be the first lady, as you said, because she comes also enjoying the same historical legitimacy, having been with him. She has seen him make decisions, and the two of them are very close, and she could be the best bet for Rwanda. And the longer that family are able to hold power,
as nascent institutions of the state are growing.
Yes. So with the time, then it can be depersonalized from them.
Then after that, you'll be saying the son because
or the daughter, for that matter. Why not the daughter?
armed forces.
Granddaughter.
Now, you see, the point is, Andrew. At least we agree that.
But Joseph, you know that monarchy has actually been the most successful, longest system of government known to humankind. These elected republics, constitutional republics, are about 200 years old, and for most of Europe, actually, constitution they're about 100 years old. Most of Europe up until 1945 was ruled by kings.
You see, you're referring to the constitutional historical legitimacy. Those monarchs and those kings had that. President Paul Kagame is a product of a genocide, of a turbulent page in the history of a country. Where does he draw from the moral, the historical, the royalty to declare his family?
The Kennedys in America, the Benazir, the Bhutto family in Pakistan, the Bandaranaike family in Sri Lanka, the Gandhi family in India,
yes.
The Churchill family in the United Kingdom. Even in democracies, by the way, look at the Theresa Kama's family.
The Bush family as well.
The Bush family in America.
Yes.
So even in democracy, the Clintons.
Yes, absolutely.
They are creating a dynasty. The Marcoses, many years ago, I read the book.
The Jaramogi dynasty in Luonyanza.
So we have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much, our listeners, for joining us. We'll be right back next week with another interesting discussion. Good evening.
The hottest debate on all relevant topics live on KFM's Hot Seat tonight.